The abduction. The Kruzuri scout vessel Trelsun drifted silently above the human colony world of Aster 3, hidden behind layers of cloaking fields and sensor dampeners. From orbit, the colony looked like any other outpost. Clustered domes, neat terraformed grids, unremarkable by galactic standards. Kelzar, field agent of the Kruzari Intelligence Corps, beamed with pride. The containment pod before him pulsed faintly. Inside, a small human child slept peacefully, arms wrapped around a stuffed animal shaped like a winged bear. "I present to you," Kelzar declared as he stepped into the bridge of the Kruzuri Command cruiser Vorzikal, the key to the next generation of bioadaptive weapons. Commander Thrixa turned slowly, mandibles twitching. "Explain," she said flatly. Kelzar motioned grandly to the pod. "I took her from the surface. No alerts were triggered. No resistance. Just slipped past their primitive defense grid and extracted a juvenile specimen. A perfect test subject for." "You did what?" Thrixa's voice was suddenly sharp. "I acquired a human child," Kelzar said, confused at her tone. "One of their young, highly adaptive neural structures, minimal resistance. Imagine the potential." Thrixa stepped forward and slammed a clawed hand onto the control console, silencing the room. Her eyes locked on the pod like it was a ticking bomb. Then she turned on Kelzar, her voice low and dangerous. "You fool. You stole a human child." There was a long silence. Kelzar blinked. "Yes, that's what I said." "You idiot," Thrixa snarled. "Now we all die." Kelzar laughed nervously, glancing at the other officers on the bridge. "Surely you're exaggerating. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Thrixa hissed. "The Galactic Concord passed an informal resolution nearly 80 cycles ago. Leave Earth alone. It wasn't about diplomacy. It was about survival." "What?" Kelzar asked, now genuinely unsettled. "Because humans are chaos incarnate," Thrixa said. "They thrive in conditions that destroy most species. They're emotional, irrational, and utterly relentless when threatened. And nothing triggers them like endangering their young." Kelzar stared at the child, who remained asleep, a faint smile on her face. "But she's just a child." Thrixa lowered her voice. "The last time a human colony was attacked, they responded by sterilizing the atmosphere of an entire war moon with a directed solar flare. Do you know what they called it?" Kelzar shook his head. "A proportional response." Kelzar swallowed. "Perhaps if we return her." "It's too late," Thrixa cut him off. "We've already been detected." As if on cue, the ship's lights flickered. An alarm sounded, a deep, rhythmic chime not part of any known internal system. "Report," Thrixa barked. The communications officer turned pale. "We're being scanned from multiple directions, simultaneously, but I can't identify the sources. They're not using standard galactic protocols." "That's human," Thrixa said grimly. "They don't ask for permission." The crew scrambled to initiate a warp jump. Navigation controls flickered and froze. The engines began to hum, then stalled. One by one, subsystems were going dark. Kelzar leaned in. "This doesn't make sense. Their technology isn't this advanced." "It's not about advancement," Thrixa said, eyes fixed on the pod. "It's about intent. They don't escalate. They don't negotiate. They end things." The child in the pod stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, bright blue, curious. She looked around, calm and unfazed. Then she reached out and tapped on the glass. Kelzar felt sweat bead along his brow. "What should we do?" Thrixa turned to him, face cold and resigned. "We pray they take her back before they decide we're not worth the effort." Outside, the void shifted. Dark shapes emerged from folds in space, silent, angular vessels without markings or lights. The Vorzikal had become prey, its captors now hunted by the very species they thought to manipulate. Kelzar stepped back, stunned, his earlier pride now curdled into dread. No alarms, no demands, no negotiations. Just the terrifying silence of humanity coming. They're coming. The bridge of the Vorzikal was locked in quiet dread. No one spoke. The hum of failing systems filled the silence as flickering displays tried and failed to render what was happening outside. Thrixa stood rigid, staring at the holographic star map. It now displayed dozens, no, hundreds, of red indicators moving toward them at impossible speed. Some were arriving from known human territories. Others appeared to jump through space itself, ignoring every galactic navigation law. This can't be real, Kelzar muttered, staring at the growing formation. No species moves this fast, not even the Ovarians. They're not moving fast, Thrixa replied. They were already on their way the moment you took the child. We were just too arrogant to notice. Kelzar swallowed hard. But it's just one child. Thrixa didn't look at him. That's why it's worse. Aster 3, Human Colony World. In a quiet living unit, a small home security bot had detected something wrong. A bedroom window had been opened. Its internal log had recorded a burst of atmospheric displacement. The bed was empty. The bot made no announcement. No flashing lights. It simply executed its Level 1 emergency protocol. Report directly to Earth's Unified Defense Command. On the orbital relay station, a human technician reviewed the flagged alert. Her expression shifted from relaxed to cold in seconds. She tapped 3 buttons, and the signal went out. No sirens, no public alerts, just a brief notification sent to Earth. Civilian minor, probable abduction, off-world origin. Within minutes, the Earth Defense Fleet began to move. Stealth-class dreadnoughts lifted from the oceans. Deep space carriers launched from asteroid bunkers. Entire divisions received only one instruction: retrieval. Back on the Vorzacal, the child, Ellie, was now awake and watching the crew with calm curiosity. She sat cross-legged in the containment pod, still holding her plush toy. She hasn't cried once, Kelzar noted uneasily. She doesn't need to, Thrixa replied. The humans are doing it for her. One of the command consoles began to strobe red. Another incursion, shouted a technician. We've got unauthorized connections to our navigation core. Kelzar rushed to the station. They're hacking us. No, they're rewriting our system protocols. I've never seen code like this. Ellie giggled from the pod. Thrixa turned her sharply. What is it, human? Ellie held up a data pad she had pulled from text belt. She had drawn strange symbols on the screen, what looked like squiggles and cartoonish shapes. Ship made funny pictures, she said innocently. Kelzar leaned over and paled. The pictures were not nonsense. They were schematics of a ship's propulsion core, and Ellie had rearranged them, correctly, to improve energy distribution by 13%. She's playing with our engineering diagrams, Kelzar whispered. Thrixa looked away. She's a human child. Their young solve complex quantum puzzles before puberty. They domesticated nuclear fire before establishing world peace. This is who you took. A console beeped. Incoming signal, said the comms officer. Encrypted, not galactic standard. Human protocols. Translate and put it through, Thrixa ordered. The screen flickered to life. A human figure appeared, fully armored, visor down. Behind them stood a corridor of shadowy soldiers. No words, no emotion. The voice came clear, mechanical. This is Captain Rain of the UDC 7th Black Dagger Fleet. Return the child. Immediately. Kelzar stepped forward. We meant no harm. This was an error, surely. The screen cut off. The ship shuddered. Thrixa whirled around. Report. They've docked with us, said the tactical officer. I didn't see them approach. How many? A pause. All of them. Outer hull, moments later. Silent boarding pods pierced the Vorzacal's hull. No energy weapons. No shields. Just fast, brutal entries. Human marines flowed inside. Black-armored ghosts moving with surgical precision. They disabled weapons systems with electromagnetic grenades. Subdued crew with non-lethal pulses. No one was killed. Not yet. Kelzar watched on the monitors, shaking. They're not even trying to hurt us. That's not mercy, Thrixa said. That's restraint. Moments later, the bridge doors opened with a hiss. 6 humans entered, rifles at low ready, armor matte and unreadable. One of them stepped forward. Ellie's face lit up. Uncle Ray. She jumped into the Marine's arms. He removed his helmet, revealing a man with steel gray eyes and a scar down one cheek. You okay, kiddo? He asked gently. Ellie nodded. They were boring. I fixed their ship, though. He looked around at the stunned Krazari. Then he spoke, cold and quiet. You're lucky she was in a good mood. The lesson. The bridge of the Vorzacal was frozen in silence. Ellie clung comfortably to Captain Rain's armored shoulder, swinging her legs and humming a tune. Her oversized plush bear bounced against his back with each step. Around them, 6 UDC Black Dagger Marines fanned out, weapons low but steady. Thrixa stood frozen, mandibles locked open in a silent grimace. Her officers, once confident and superior, stood like statues, eyes flicking between the child and the humans who had walked into the heart of their command ship like it was their own. Commander Thrixa, Rain said, voice measured, you have 2 choices. Neither of them involve keeping your weapons. You've already lost those. He gestured behind him with a small nod. One of the Marines tapped a wrist console. A holographic map blinked to life in the air above them. A full schematic of the Vorzacal, sections highlighted in red. Your core is locked out. Propulsion is remote disabled. Your long-range comms have been rerouted to a UDC relay. And your backup systems are currently learning a new human-designed operating language. You're occupying us, Thrixa rasped. No, Rain replied. If we were occupying you, you wouldn't still be breathing. He turned to Ellie. Anything you want to say, kiddo? Ellie tapped her chin thoughtfully. I tried to show them how to balance their engines better. They didn't understand. You used crayons again, didn't you? Yup. Rain chuckled, then turned back to the aliens. Let me put this plainly. We don't do this for politics. We don't do this for dominance. But you took a child, a civilian. You crossed a line older than your empire. Kelzar, trembling near the navigation console, managed to speak. We didn't understand. We thought humans were. You thought wrong. Rain cut in. You looked at us and saw unpredictability, volatility, primitive aggression. You were half right. But what you didn't see was what happens when we unite around something that matters. He stepped forward, eyes burning. And our children? They matter. Behind him, another Marine tapped a console. The room dimmed. A new display filled the air, satellite footage of the Krazari homeworld, zooming in on military infrastructure, shipyards, palace complexes. This is what we can see from low Earth orbit. We haven't moved on it yet. Kelzar collapsed to one knee. Thrixa forced herself to straighten. You've proven your point. What happens now? Rain looked to Ellie. You ready to go home? Ellie nodded. Then we leave, Rain said simply. And we leave you here to think about how close you came to extinction over a mistake. Thrixa hesitated. You show mercy? We show control, he answered. Mercy is what you pray for when we don't. As the team turned to leave, one of the Krazari officers, younger and more reckless, lunged forward with a concealed weapon. It was fast, almost imperceptible. Almost. Before the alien could even complete the motion, 2 Marines moved. One stepped in front of Rain, intercepting the shot with a shimmering energy shield. The other knocked the attacker unconscious with a swift strike that echoed through the chamber. No one else moved. Rain didn't flinch. He looked down at Ellie, who hadn't even blinked. Still good. Still good, she said brightly. The Marine who subdued the attacker looked to Thrixa. That was your one. Rain nodded, his tone flat. Next time, we don't leave your fleet intact. Without another word, the humans turned and exited the bridge, Ellie perched calmly on Rain's shoulder. The door hissed shut behind them. Docking bay, moments later. The interior of the human boarding craft was silent and sterile. As it detached from the Vorzacal, its lights dimmed, and it vanished from view, cloaking systems activating seamlessly. Inside, Ellie handed her plush bear to a medic for scanning, giggling as the AI ran its diagnostics. Captain Rain sat beside her. You scared? He asked quietly. No, she said. I knew you'd come. Rain smiled, then leaned back. Your mom's going to ground you for this, you know. Ellie sighed. She always does. Bridge of the Vorzacal, aftermath. Thrixa sat in silence, watching the last of the human ships disappear from sensors. The bridge was still operational, barely, but she gave no orders. Kelzar finally spoke, voice hollow. They didn't destroy us. No, Thryxa said. They educated us. Outside the viewport, the stars burned cold and distant. But now, every one of them looked like an eye. Watching, waiting, we remember. The Krasari High Conclave met in the black glass chamber of the Hall of Silent Stars, a vast dome orbiting the Krasari homeworld. 12 grand delegates, elders, admirals, scientists, gathered under the simulated nebulous sky. At the center stood Commander Thryxa, rigid in her ceremonial armor, flanked by Kelzar. The latter kept his eyes lowered, posture trembling, tendrils coiled tight with anxiety. Report, intoned Arch-Strategist Vulcan, voice low and echoing. Thryxa stepped forward, her mandibles clicking once. The humans came. They boarded our vessel without resistance, retrieved the child unharmed. They did not retaliate further. They allowed you to live? Asked one of the elder biologists, clearly disbelieving. Thryxa nodded once. They demonstrated control, precision, and a restraint that is, frankly, terrifying. Vulcan narrowed his many eyes. Was there no retaliation at all? Kelzar dared to speak. They left something behind. A gift. Speak clearly. Kelzar produced a data module and held it aloft. A complete diagnostic overlay of our ship's flaws. Hundreds of them. Structural weaknesses, tactical inefficiencies, software vulnerabilities. They mapped it all, and then fixed half of them as a courtesy. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. It wasn't just a warning, it was a demonstration. They could have deleted us from existence, Thryxa said. They chose to show us what they could do instead. That is their strength. Not technology, not numbers, but will. Silence fell. Then Vulcan asked the most dangerous question of all. What do we do now? Earth, UDC Command, Luna Orbit. Captain Rain stood before a panel of human military and civilian officials. His armor had been shed, revealing a weathered but composed man. Ellie sat nearby with her mother, coloring quietly. You acted without waiting for formal authorization, one official said, steepling her fingers. I did, Rain replied. You deployed an entire Black Dagger fleet for one child. Yes. Was that necessary? Rain didn't hesitate. Absolutely. Another admiral leaned forward. Captain, some argue that actions like yours reinforce the idea that humanity is volatile. Dangerous. Rain turned to Ellie, then back to the room. Good. Let them think that. Let the galaxy believe that the worst possible mistake is threatening one of our own. That fear keeps us safe. Ellie's mother stood, her voice soft but firm. My daughter was taken in the night. Not by beasts, not by pirates, but by a government that thought she was an experiment. Her eyes scanned the room. No one came for us. No formal response. But he did. She nodded at Rain. And because of that, she's alive, unharmed, and still coloring. That is the only metric that matters. The council exchanged glances. Then one of them spoke with quiet finality. So be it. The UDC's Black Dagger protocol remains active. Response authorization permanent. Krasari homeworld, weeks later. Kelzar sat alone in his quarters. He had resigned his post, stripped of honors, but spared exile. His punishment was simpler. Live, remember, and never forget the lesson. A small hollow device blinked to life. A message, not encrypted, from Earth. Curious, he opened it. It was a video. Ellie sat at a desk, crayon in hand. Hi, Mr. Krasari, she said brightly. I'm back home. I'm safe. And I'm not mad anymore. My bear's okay, too. She held it up. It waved limply. I made you a picture. It shows your spaceship with happy thruster flames and smiley windows. I even made you a better bridge layout. The camera zoomed out to reveal a colorful scribble drawing of the Vorzakow, complete with hearts and stars. Next time, just ask before you visit, okay? We have cookies. Bye. The message ended. Kelzar sat in stunned silence. Not a threat, not a demand, just a child offering kindness after terror. A second chance. He didn't know what to make of that. Narration, years later. The Krasari never again approached a human colony without permission. Some say it was fear. Others say it was wisdom. But those who lived through the abduction of Ellie Miller Those who saw what humanity unleashed just to bring a single child home. They understand the truth. It was respect, because humanity, for all its chaos, protects its own with a fury unmatched by any empire. And every species in the galaxy now remembers the day that one foolish mistake nearly ended a civilization. All because someone asked the most dangerous question in the universe.